Good morning and welcome to today's session of Moments with Clara. For the past 3.5 weeks, we've been talking about complicated grief. It's been heavy stuff. Some of it has been dark. It's been difficult. So I thought for today we'd take a little break from that and simply do a recap of what the grief of child loss is all about and how we can be encouraged just a bit as we're traveling along this journey of loss. First of all, we know that there is no quick fix for this kind of grief. We know that as parents, we'll be grieving the loss of our child for our entire time that we spend on this earth. There's no getting around that. And I don't think we'd want it any other way. We know that our child was a living, breathing, wonderful part of us, part of our family, and we miss that part. We miss that child. So we will rightly grieve the loss of this child forever. We won't always have that raw, penetrating grief that we had in the first couple years. The grief will soften. It will grow less raw around the edges as the years pass, but there will always be a hole in our heart. We know that. We also know that not everybody will understand this. There will be people around us who get tired of us talking about our child. There will be people around us who tell us, move on, you're stuck in grief. There will be people around us who tell us that maybe our faith isn't what it should be. We should have moved beyond this by now. We know, however, though, that we must grieve in the way that our hearts tell us. There is no right or wrong way for a parent to grieve. There is no time limit for a parent to grieve. We will grieve the loss of our child in our own way and for as long as it takes, irregardless of what others tell us. And we don't need to feel guilty about that. This was our child. This was our child who lived with us. We will forever miss our child. Also, we know that there are burdens of guilt that we often carry that are associated with child loss. We feel like we were not the parent that we should have been. We fell short. And we've talked about that in depth, about the different ways we feel guilty and why we carry this burden of guilt. And believe me, it's not easy to get rid of, is it? We talked really in depth about this. Often we're just beating ourselves up because the last words we had with our child maybe were angry words, or we didn't have the insight to see that our child was having difficulty with depression or anxiety, and that led to our child's death, maybe by suicide. We didn't understand the way drugs were affecting our child, and when we lost our child due to a drug overdose, we beat ourselves up over and over again that we should have known more, we should have done more, we should have, said things differently. There comes a point where as parents, we need to understand there is no perfect parent. Believe me, I have beat myself up plenty over the years, and I've had to come to that understanding myself. Just staying in that spot where I wish I would have, I wish I could have, I wish I did have, does no good. I have to learn to forgive myself, and so do you. We are not perfect. We didn't do everything perfect with our child, yet our child knew that we loved him. And I know that's true. Our children know that we love them with a passion so deep that we would give our very lives for our child. And lastly, we know that we will enter a place called that new normal. We don't often like using that phrase, but for lack of a better phrase, I'll use it today. Life will never be the same again. And we know that. And how could it be when our child is gone? We will never feel completely whole. Our family will never be completely whole. That child took a space within the family, within our hearts, that can be filled by nothing or no one else. So we have entered what we call the new normal, and we learn step by step how to live within this place of our new normal. Is it easy? No, it's not. I think each of us struggles with that every day in a different way. There's nothing easy about living life without our child. But we have those living around us. We have loved ones that are around us that we know we must live for also. Life is for the living. And we struggle with that because it feels like part of us has gone with our child and only part of us is here with those that are living around us. So that's a daily struggle, and we know that will be also a lifelong struggle trying to find our way through the grief of child loss into that place of a new normal where we can experience some joy. I hope that you are encouraged by these little brief moments with Clara. I hope that as we journey on this path together, that we will learn more and more about how the grief of child loss works. I hope that we will learn better how to support one another, and I think we are doing that. I pray that something that was said today in these brief few minutes together has been an encouragement to you as a parent who has lost their child. I hope today is a much softer day in your grief, and just hang in there. We're all on this journey together, and I will be back again, and we will begin a new series of another type of complicated grief, and hopefully and prayerfully we will learn together more about how to better live in our new normal. My love to each of you, and I will see you again with another Moment with Clara.